What if I told you that in the first 10 minutes of From, the show gave us every single clue? We need to understand the mechanics of the trap. We have been so focused on the what, the monsters, the town, that we have missed the how. But the how is everything, because the town is not just a place, it's a system. Perfectly designed, 3-stage hunting trap, and in this video we're going to break down that system, piece by piece, using only the evidence from the very first episode. Because every trap needs bait, where the system in From, the bait is a promise of treasure, or a cry for help, is something far more simple and far more effective. The illusion of a simple problem is stage 1, the lure. Stage 1 begins with a tree. On the surface, it's just an obstacle, a natural, believable problem that requires a simple, logical solution. A detour. The Matthews family doesn't panic. Jim, the engineer, sees the situation and concludes,
"Well, there was an exit about a mile back. We're gonna have to circle around."
This is the genius of the lure. It doesn't present itself as supernatural. It presents itself as an inconvenience. It persuades its victims into taking the first step into the maze. But the system leaves a clue, a warning that this is not a normal detour. The crows, or as Julie points out,
yeah, it is. It's called a murder of crows.
This is not a random detail for the show. It's a system first tell. It's an omen, a classic horror signal saying that the characters have just crossed a threshold from the natural world into the supernatural. It's stage 2, the disorientation. The system's second stage kicks in. The goal here is to strip the victims of their most fundamental tool for survival, their sense of logic and direction. This is achieved with a looping road. So the loop is like a paradox, designed to break the rational mind. Tabitha is the first to crack. She insists, saying the following,
"We're on the same road."
And she's right, it is impossible. And that's the point. The system is demonstrating its power, proving that the laws of physics, as they know them, no longer apply. This psychological assault is amplified by the town itself. The residents stare but don't engage. The Sheriff Boyd offers cryptic, unhelpful advice. The town is not a safe haven. It's an instrument of the disorientation phase. It's a silent, watchful entity that offers no answers, only more questions, reinforcing the feeling that the victims are utterly alone and that their own senses cannot be trusted. Now comes the final, most crucial stage, isolation. The trap must separate its victims from their tools of escape and hold them until nightfall. This is something that we see from season 1, episode 1 until season 3. This is the purpose of the crash of the RB. The crash is not an accident, it is a trap snapping shut. Notice how perfectly it achieves the system goals. First, it breaks their vehicle. The RB, their one symbol of mobility, is now useless. They cannot drive away. Second, it injured a family member. Ethan confirms they cannot just run. It anchors them to the spot, buying the system precious time as the sun goes down. Third, and most importantly, it forces a separation. Tabitha and Julie are taken away, while Jim is forced to stay behind. The family unit is fractured. Jade and Toby are separated from their own vehicle. This divide and conquer strategy is a core component of the isolation phase. The trap is now complete. The lure brought them in. The disorientation broke their minds, and the isolation has left them stranded, separated, and vulnerable, right as the curfew begins. The first episode is not just a series of horrible events. It is a system, 3-stage process. A hidden system designed not just to trap its victims, but to break them down before the real horror even begins. The monsters are not the trap, they are what the trap was built for. In episode 1, the system doesn't just reveal its hunters. It begins to teach its prisoners the new brutal rules of their new existence. This is not a random event, it's a conditioning program, and is designed to instill 2 things: absolute horror and a sliver of false hope. The first rule they will learn is that the enemy is unlike anything they have ever known. The system doesn't introduce beasts or mindless zombies. It introduces something far more terrifying: broken humanity. And notice the key components established in the first episode. First, they're intelligent manipulators. The grandma monster that tricks Megan doesn't use brutal force, it uses love. It takes the form of a grandmother and speaks in gentle tones. First of all, this is horrible because the system is teaching its prisoners that their own memories and affections are not weapons that can be used against them. Second, they are calm. We see this from the very beginning. They approach the RB slowly, confidently. This is not the behavior of a predator. It's the behavior of a zookeeper who knows the animals are not getting out of the cage. And third, they smile. This is the system's most brutal tool. The smiles we see later, a universal symbol of safety, is twisted into the ultimate signal of death. In this world, a friendly face is the most dangerous thing you can use. Once the horror is established, the system introduced the second part of its conditioning program, the illusion of safety. A person is only effective if there are places you can go back to. The town and colony house are those cells. But the first episode makes one thing clear, that safety is not guaranteed. It is conditional, and it comes at a cost. The spike trip, this is a critical moment. It seems like a simple accident, but it's a lesson from the system. It demonstrates that even the tools of the town can be turned against them. There's no perfect safety. The very thing designed to protect them, the spike trip, is what endangers them. It reinforces a state of constant anxiety. This leads to the desperate run that we see in episode 2, where the residents are forced to beg for entry. Safety is not a right, it's a privilege that must be granted by others, and this provides a seed for future conflict and reinforces the idea that your survival depends on the choices of your fellow prisoners, or in this case, friends. The final part of the conditioning program in the first episode is the most important. The system must teach its prisoners that there are rules, and that breaking those rules have a price. We see this with Megan and Lauren, but it's Boyd's raw, explosive grief and anger towards Frank that truly hammers it home. Boyd isn't just grieving Sheriff. In this moment, he's the voice of the system itself. He's delivering a core lesson of the prison. This is not a world of second chances. A single moment of weakness, a single mistake, like Frank getting drunk or Megan opening a window, results in absolute, irreversible devastation. The system is teaching them that the true enemy is not just the monsters outside, it's the weakness inside. It's a single, careless mistake that will get everyone you love killed. The system orientation is complete. The trap is there, the rules are established, but this prison is not just a cage, it's a lab. And in the final act of the first episode, the system begins its primary experiment, confirming the psychological weakness of his new prisoners. He doesn't just want to contain them, he wants to understand what makes them break, and it starts by targeting the raw, pre-existing trauma each character brought with them into the town. The first case file is in Matthew's family. The system didn't just trap 4 people, it trapped a unit defined by grief. Even before they see the tree, their dynamic is established. James tries to connect with Tabitha through nostalgia.
What it was like when it wasn't like this.
But she tells him their emotional connection is severed, broken by the unspoken tragedy of their son Thomas. The town sees this immediately, but it's through the children that it finds the deepest cracks. Julie's story about Nathan, the doll, is not just a sister being bad, it is a perfect focus of their family core trauma. In this moment, the town learns everything it needs to know. It learns that his family is haunted by death, and the children already acting out the very horror is about to break them. They are the perfect subjects for a story about a family that must either heal from their loss or be destroyed by it. Next, the system has warden, Sheriff Boyd. From the outside, he's a focused strength. He rings a bell. He maintains order. He deals with the failures of others. But the episode gave us 2 key scenes that reveal his core weakness, the weight of his own perceived failures. First, his interaction with his son Ellis. We learn that Boyd is an estranged father. His own son wants nothing to do with him, even in the face of a community tragedy. This revealed that Boyd's public authority is a mask for his own private failure as a parent. His mission is to protect the town's family. It's a desperate attempt to atone for the fact that he already lost his own. The system knows his weak point. His sense of duty is linked to his guilt. Second, the sign 96 nights without incident. This is not just a piece of world building. It is a system setting up Boyd's next failure. After a long period of peace, of success, the system allows a brutal, preventable tragedy to happen on his watch. This is a targeted test. The town is testing him. It's reminding him that no matter how many rules he enforces, no matter how vigilant he is, failure is always one open window away. It's reinforcing the very trauma that drives him, the fear that he cannot protect the people he loves. Finally, the system identifies its most promising subject, Sarah. In this first episode, we know almost nothing about her past, but we learn one crucial detail. She's connected to the town's influence. Her comment about the cruelty of hope.
You still expect to find the road that takes you home? It's the part that's cruel.
Shows she's already wrestling with the town's psychological pain on a profound level. And then there's the music as well, as we see Boyd walking and her closing the diner. The song "We Gotta Get Out of This Place" begins to play. This is not a coincidence. This, the system, is speaking directly to us, tapping into the one desire that will eventually be used to break her. In one single devastating episode, the system, or the town, or the man in yellow, has not just trapped its new prisoners, it addressed them, profiled them, and identify the precise emotional and psychological cracks it will be used to break them. The game is about to begin. For the character it already has, and the first move was the moment they saw that tree. So the system is in place. The trap, the hunters, the rules. But what is the purpose of it all? The first episode doesn't establish a world. It establishes a conflict, and it's not the one you think. There's one ruined from that controls everything. Not the monsters, not the talisman, not the curfew. Something far more insidious. It's a secret, the storytelling logic writers inject into the very scene. And that spoken rule is this. Every scene is a battlefield. The characters are not just fighting the monsters, they're fighting a second and far more dangerous war against the chaos in their own minds. This is the show through engine. The constant, agonizing battle between the monster outside and the monster inside. So this is the breakdown of the first episode. Stay tuned for episode 2 and watch this video on why I think the show is a book.